What happens when a total scrub with zero talent learns to fight through YouTube videos? Today I want to talk about the Korean anime Viral Hit, which covers just that. So the anime starts off with this YouTuber named Paco bullying this kid named Hoban, putting makeup on him. He's live streaming the entire event and he even asks Hoban to smile, but Hoban does not listen. So when he comes back from washing off the makeup, the cameraman for the live stream beat him up. Hoban then leaves school and it's revealed that his mother is sick and he really is struggling with the money to afford her hospital bills. So this guy's life is already terrible. He's getting bullied, he has zero motion, and furthermore, when he goes home, the guy who beat him up earlier is live streaming in Hoban's apartment and using Hoban's mother's bank information because he's not old enough to start an account of his own. Because Hoban is so scared of getting beat up again, he's pretty much this guy's swabby. I mean, he's literally making him spaghetti while the dude live streams in his house. Until he trips on the computer plug, spilling hot spaghetti all over the bully. The bully gets mad and starts beating up on Hoban, but Hoban decides, you know what, I'm actually gonna fight back, and starts slapping him in the face with spaghetti. It's heavily implied that Hoban won the fight, and then the next day the bully calls Hoban and says, you need to take that video down, because it turns out the cord that he tripped over was actually the cord to the monitor. So this dude who is formerly bullying Hoban is now a chump. Even the kids that he bullies besides Hoban are beating up on him because he's such a scrub. I mean, he got beat up by spaghetti. The video is blowing up and Hoban has acquired over 10 million views. So Hoban is lit. He's like, I'm gonna be taken care of for life. I'm a YouTuber, I'm doing my thing, till the bully comes up demanding half of the money because he was half of the fight. So Hoban lays the whoopings on him again. He says, I'm not giving you no money, until the cameraman says, you might because I have skills. And then he shows Hoban that he recorded their whole fight. He then explains that they're not gonna be able to post this fight because everyone is gonna think it's staged, but he just wanted to show Hoban that he's very capable of being a cameraman. Despite this guy being Hoban's former bully, Hoban still needs a cameraman. So despite the fact that he was offered a 90% for the cameraman, 10% for Hoban split, he does actually accept this guy's offer after eventually talking him down. The final agreement is 90% for Hoban, 10% for the bully, who I'm now going to call Woo because his name is Ji-Yak Woo. I'm not calling him that. Episode 2, and they decided, you know what, because this YouTube channel that you've developed is based off of confrontation, let's go confront the bully from the first episode, the guy who runs a YouTube channel. So as he's announcing his giveaway while live streaming in the middle of class, Hoban says he's lying to you, there is no giveaway. On top of that, Paco's a bully, look at these bruises he put all over my body. But Paco says, I don't know what you're doing, my stream is over because my battery died, and then Hoban gets whooped on. But that doesn't matter because Woo is sitting there live streaming the entire thing on his phone in secret. So Hoban is getting beat up, but it doesn't really matter because the entire point of this confrontation was to expose the true colors of popular streamer Paco. But then a guy in the corner of the classroom says, can you guys keep it down? And Paco's like, who are you? Who said that? The guy who said it is a professional fighter, so Paco goes, you know what, maybe I should hang up the towel for the day, and walks out. Paco gets home, he plugs his phone in, and that's where he finds out that the entire thing was live streamed. He then makes an apology live stream, but after he thought he ended it, he says it's really easy to suck up to your viewers when they're a bunch of idiots, so it's pretty much just grits for Paco at this point. Back to Hoban, this whole encounter sealed the deal that his YouTube channel needs to be centered around fighting, and in order to make good money on YouTube, your videos have to be over 8 minutes, which means that Hoban needs to learn how to fight. So Hoban doesn't know anything about fighting, so obviously he just goes on YouTube and looks up how to fight, and that's where he finds a channel with absolutely zero motion. The guy's got no subscribers, he gets no views, but he has a ton of videos. So this guy wearing the chicken mask starts giving some advice. He says, rule number 1, never get worked up. And then lesson number 1, how to get hit without getting hurt. But we don't see what he says just yet. Hoban then quits his job at Wick Daniels to go all in on content creation. But before he goes, because he's getting his aura up a little bit, his work crush ends up giving him her number. And they're texting back and forth while Hoban is at school until Paco pulls up and he is not happy because Hoban ruined his career. Paco is absolutely livid, and Hoban remembers rule number 1, if your opponent loses their cool, they're gonna be fighting with emotions. That's when Hoban decides to employ how to get hit without getting hurt, but it turns out Paco actually stops his punch early because of Wu recording in the background. Hoban, I guess, does not understand this because he's thinking, how did that work? I didn't feel any pain at all. Fast forward, and Hoban is just outside texting the girl from his work, just thinking about his YouTube channel, when all of a sudden he gets recognized. But these people who recognized him just wanted to rob him because they assumed he had money. And Wu actually pulls up to save Hoban, except he's really weak, so he just gets one tapped, and it turns out the only reason he was there was to live stream the whole thing. And because of the fact that this is live streamed, along with the fact that the girl from his work's phone number is on that phone, he decides to get it back, so he pulls up on the robbers. They're at karaoke together when Hoban flashes back to something he learned from the fighting YouTuber. He said, pay attention to which hand your opponent favors. Seeing that he is holding the microphone in his right hand, Hoban takes this into mind. The robber corks back with his right hand, getting ready to throw a haymaker, but then Hoban gets to implement how to get hit without getting hurt for the first time. Hoban recalls when the YouTuber said a punch is most powerful when it reaches its target, so by cutting off the range of motion with your head, you are going to stop the power of that punch. He also recalls the YouTuber's advice to start weaving, as it's harder for the opponent to hit a moving target. So Hoban is sitting there bobbing, weaving, taking punches, and everyone is in shock, including his live stream chat. And that's when Hoban remembers he only watched one video, so he doesn't actually know how to throw a punch himself, so he just has to sit there dodging and weaving. Hoban thinks it's over, but because the robber hit his forehead so many times and Hoban absorbed the impact, his hand actually ends up breaking. And just like that, Hoban wins his first fight and his channel becomes even more successful, even netting Hoban a pretty ridiculous amount of money to the point where he can afford buying a Gucci sweatsuit. Hoban then goes on a date with the girl from work, but because he's been bullied his whole life, he's pretty antisocial and he convinces the girl that he doesn't like her. But he gives a heartfelt speech explaining himself why he's being so awkward, and the date is actually going pretty well from that point until the fighter from earlier showed up. Hoban, being extremely jealous and I guess thinking he doesn't have a chance with the girl he's on a date with, lies about having an ingrown toenail so that he can go home. But Wu was watching the entire date and I guess live streaming it, and he didn't like the fact that they were hitting it off and he lied about the ingrown toenail, so he says, go back out there, man. He was pretty much manipulating Hoban because he wanted more content for the channel. Hoban actually lies and says he's friends with the fighter before he even showed up, and instead of making it an awkward situation, the fighter just agrees and says, you know what, yeah, we're friends. So he's a pretty chill dude and he ends up leaving and all is well. Until, because Wu was live streaming this whole thing, Paco actually knew exactly where Hoban was, so he pulls up on him. Hoban tries to use his how to get hit without getting hurt technique, but Paco is already well aware of how this works. Hoban then recalls when the YouTuber said never use the same technique more than once like a sloppy baby. But Hoban is still kind of a scrub. He doesn't have too many techniques in his arsenal, so he ends up getting beat up right in front of his girl. Paco is pretty much a supervillain. He says if you want to protect the girl, strip down to your underwear, and Hoban is willing to do it. As a matter of fact, Hoban's willing to go further than that, but luckily he does not have to because the fighter pulls up again. He takes Paco and his goons out with ease and then leaves Hoban there, not in a way like, oh, I took your girl, but he wants Hoban to mentally recover from this alone. Paco, of course, wants to get revenge on Hoban, but Hoban is not coming to school, obviously, because he doesn't want to get beat up, and Wu is telling him not to come. So Hoban, no longer contacting the girl, no longer going to school, is at home training, watching YouTube videos to become a better fighter. That's the first 4 episodes of Viral Hit. If you guys want me to cover the rest of the anime, leave a like on the video. If it does well, I will do a part 2, and make sure to subscribe if you're new, as we are trying to hit 5,000 subscribers. Appreciate y'all watching. Click either of the videos on your screen if you want. See y'all later.